Hello, and thank you for joining us today. You're watching Atlanta Brick Co. TV. I'm your host, Mark. Today I'm joined by Steven and Nathan. And we're going to be talking about this majestic yellow castle, aka the Cheddar Castle.
That was its nickname. We called it the Cheddar Castle.
That's not its real name.
No, it's not its real name.
It's a
but
nickname.
I mean, it's yellow. It's huge and yellow. Like everyone, like literally, I was thinking like grilled cheese sandwiches. As I was building it, I don't know why, but the name stuck.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is a project that Steven has been working on pretty much exclusively for a significant amount of time. But Nathan, you were the client who commissioned this project here at Atlanta Brick Co.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what inspired the need for a giant yellow castle?
I need a castle. I'm working on an animation, and I realized I got to a point where I need a castle, and obviously,
one made.
The Lion Knight's castle from I think 2022, 2023. Just wasn't cutting it for me. I wanted something bigger, and I'm working on this thing. It's called Plastic Dungeon.
Cool.
It focuses around this dungeon master, and he's kind of doing his little thing in the dungeon. And I thought, okay, I need a castle eventually. He's got to come out of the dungeon sometime.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, do a gray castle, but I kind of wanted a little bit of a contrast, so throwing it back to the 70s with the yellow, and I just thought that might be kind of neat. Yeah, it kind of evolved into, it kind of got out of hand, but
I mean, yeah.
Well, if this is going to be part of it, I can only imagine how amazing everything's going to be.
You know, castles are pretty big, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a huge set piece. It's a slow-going process, but maybe one day it'll see the light of day.
Absolutely. And do you have a channel or anything that people can look up to find and maybe keep track of your progress or see it when it's done?
Yeah, it's called Plastic Dungeon. It's just on YouTube, so YouTube Plastic Dungeon.
Give them a subscribe. But yeah, that's very cool you're able to commission that. I'm glad we had Steven on hand ready to work on this project. Steven, when Nathan commissioned us to work on this project, what kind of information were you getting and where did you springboard from there to make this?
Well, with a lot of good commissions, Nathan over here gave me a few concept images and said, have at it, like a few inspirations are really nice. Now, occasionally we'll have to do a 1-to-1 scale replica of something. They can be very rigid. Not a lot of room for imagination, essentially, in the way I prefer it. But this one was one of those commissions that were very fun. There's a lot of room for my own take on it. Obviously, you had a lot of
input.
Yeah, a lot of input.
Things, yeah.
A couple must-haves that we definitely implemented that were pretty cool.
What were some of the primary things that needed to be in the castle for it to match Nathan's specific criteria?
Ooh, modularity. Like, it had to be modular. The whole thing, you could get it all the way down to the grass, essentially. Like, you could separate it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, including the tree, 11 pieces. So, yeah, it's a pretty complicated little setup here we got going on. But, it's definitely important, and it also makes it very useful to transport.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anything else that you were really looking for in the castle, Nathan, that you wanted Steven to make sure he included?
No, I mean, I think the main things that were must-haves were the red drawbridge. The gate needed to look a certain way, and I don't know how much guidance I gave you on the gate, but you
As
actually
wide as you can get it.
Yeah, basically. Wanted the tower. That's not really something that you see in the original Yellow Castle, but
yeah, there is a
very
very
tall
tower.
kind
There's
of-
a symmetry to the castle, but the back one is more just like this, like a great hall.
Yeah.
It was missing a tower in the original, but yeah, that was definitely. It's got to have a. I think you called it a princess tower, a
something
fairy
like
tale
that.
tower.
Yeah, like damsel in distress.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then aside from that, the courtyard. So that's pretty cool looking in there.
Oh, shout out to Daniel for the fountain idea. So there was a
Okay.
little fountain
Yeah.
on
We'll
the side with a
Oh,
sink.
that was his idea.
Yeah, with a sink that's from, I think it's from the Homemaker set.
Or Scala, maybe?
Scala sink or whatever, so it was really fun. One thing I need to highlight, me and Daniel and also Corey, who works here a bit, we went in and visited southern Germany to Neuschwanstein, the Neuschwanstein Castle.
Yeah.
There's a giant white one that's not too different from this in its style, but there was a yellow one down in the valley that we visited both of them.
Yeah, I've been to both of them too.
Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. And I had just gotten off of visiting those by not even a year.
Okay.
So those were fresh in my mind. I'm like, hey, I get to build the giant yellow castle I wanted to make.
Yeah.
So that was extremely fun too, having that fresh in my head.
Yeah. Having visited a cool historical place, you definitely want to build it once
with
you
the giant
visit.
spires, you know, and the very ornate decorations.
Question for you guys. So, Nathan, having decided that you want to take a different approach to castles and make it yellow, Stephen, were you at all worried about building something in a color that typically hasn't been referenced or included in castle in like 40 years?
So
what were your thoughts on that?
It was all in the arches, mostly.
Arches.
So a lot of these 1x6x2 arches, they only came out in like the early pirate sets and the Yellow Castle, and like that's it.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these arches are pretty difficult to find.
So that's the primo piece.
Yeah, and the sets they come in are pretty desirable as well. There's like a red coat fort or blue coat fort. Like the largest one has a bunch of the arches, and of course the Black Falcon's Fortress has the half arch. So those were definitely a struggle to grab, essentially. And the 1x4s are rare, too. So we have a lot of just the standard reverse slope to... it looks pretty good, I think, but we kind of had to make a few workarounds for the rarity.
You had to adapt with the pieces that were available here at our store.
Exactly. And on Bricklink, too.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, I'm super excited, Nathan, that you decided to commission this awesome castle with us. We've enjoyed seeing it for the past few weeks here in the back, and we'll definitely include as many B-shots, B-roll as possible so you can see all the details. And soon this castle will be in Nathan's studio being filmed. Now, one last question for you, Nathan. Since you're going to be doing a project with this kind of animation, is this castle going to see some battle action, or is it going to be more of a drama scene?
Starting out, it'll be more of a drama scene.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll probably get sieged at some point.
A little bit of a siege, that'd be very cool to see.
I mean, there's a lot that could happen here, right? There's
Yeah,
a lot you can enjoy.
there's all kinds of different factions in the Lego Castle world, so you know, yeah.
You might see a little skirmish or
Might
something.
come back,
Yeah.
might make a return. Yeah,
That's
there
cool.
you go.
If it was, undisturbed, I would understand. It seems like a very formidable fortress. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and if you ever feel inclined, feel free to take it to a show if you're ever interested.
Well,
because it wouldn't offend me.
Really?
Like if you bought it, I mean, that's no issue for me. I have my own stuff to worry about. So if you brought it, I'd love to have people see it in the flesh or in the cheese.
It is something. It is something to look at in person for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both for your thoughts and time. We really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We do all sorts of cool Lego stuff all the time. Take care.